fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete. We're here to help.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. We're back. We're live. We're new. It is Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. And today reads April 11th. And that can only mean one thing, and one thing only. It is the first round of the Masters from Augusta. You wake up this morning, you look at the tee times, and they were supposed to start right now.
But the weather sucks.
The weather is awful, horrendously bad. So here's how it's going to unfold at Augusta for today.
Yeah.
They will begin round one at 9:30. So 30 minutes after our show, round one will take place. The honorary starting ceremony will begin at 9:10. Patrons, remember.
Patrons,
they're
not
called
patrons.
Fans.
Patrons.
They are called patrons at Augusta.
They are.
They will be allowed to enter the gates at 8:30.
Our good friend Roger Hoover, who of course is the voice of Alabama baseball, Alabama women's basketball, and then a big part of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. He and his father got to go to the Masters for the first time this week. I thought about you because
everybody gets to go for the first time, but
I know, but I just
and one day I will go.
Oh, but he did exactly what I figured you would do. He took a picture of the pimento cheese sandwich and the ice cream sandwich and posted that.
I would be getting me some egg salad, some pimento cheese, the ice cream. I mean,
and all of it for under $10.
I would probably spend more time in the food line than I would on the golf course. But but no, thunderstorms and everything around Augusta, causing it to be delayed. Because of early thunderstorms. After the day goes along, you could be looking at 15 to 25 mile an hour winds at Augusta National. So there you go. They're right out of the gates. The Masters delayed. So
yeah.
But when it does start, I can tell you Eric Van Rooyen and Jake Knapp will be the first two off the tee, and then Jose Maria Olazabal.
Yeah, Olazabal.
Taylor Moore and Santiago de la Fuente will be going off at 9:42. So those are your first two tee times of the morning at Augusta. All right. So the other news, and we're going to just stay local with this one because you are on the high school basketball scene a ton during the high school season.
Yep.
I'm around the college game just a little bit more, but blend that in with a lot of high school. But we all talk to a bunch of coaches nonstop during the high school basketball season, both high school and college. The one thing, the overwhelmingly majority of the coaches, high school both and college, say, when will the state of Alabama start using a shot clock?
Yep.
And we have an answer to that. 2024, 2025. Comes, though, with some asterisks to it. Yes. Those games, the shot clock will be used in select games. Those games include any non-area regular season game and only if both coaches and schools agree to do so. But the shot clock is coming to the high school game in the state of Alabama in the 2024-2025 season.
I think everybody's excited about it. I mean, the overwhelming feedback I got yesterday from just seeing, the reactions on social media was they're all very excited. I've been involved with games with the shot clock in the summer. Especially over in Georgia, and then regular season games as well. And we had Coach Patrick Harding on yesterday as they were the Bryant Bank Team of the Week for their back-to-back 6A state championships. And they're going to a showcase over in Atlanta, and I guarantee you that's going to have a shot clock. And so I think everybody reacts to it well. I'm glad that it's going to be start to transition toward that, and I think everybody is looking forward to it and the modernization so far, so to speak, of the game. So very excited about that, and as we saw, the coaching carousel continues to turn in high school basketball as well.
It does. But the biggest news was that, and we mentioned it yesterday, I guess we foreshadowed it, but Executive Director Alvin Briggs is going to retire.
After 3 years as the head of the AHSAA, he is stepping aside. They had a central board meeting yesterday in Montgomery, and the new president of the central board is going to be Terry Curtis, who's, of course, the longtime head football coach at UMS Wright, Hall of Famer. So he's taking over there, and we'll see what happens with the replacement for Coach Briggs. But he took over for Coach Steve Savarese for 3 years and is now moving on into retirement. We know Coach well, so he's always good to me. And when I was able to help out the AHSAA as far as basketball regionals and softball and things of that nature, so appreciate all his service, and hope he enjoys his retirement. And also we had a coach move on from our area. He was only there for a year. I knew he spent a couple years also at Austin High School, but Major Deacon, he's going back really to where in Wentz it's kind of in a full circle. He was an assistant at Thompson High School before he took the job at Austin. Then he resurfaced at Albertville last year. Did a great job, I thought. They went 23-8, really improved their team in the year he was there. But now Major Deacon moving on to the Thompson Warriors. And, I mean, it's a job he couldn't turn down, once it was offered to him. I mean, wow. I mean, that school is an athletic powerhouse. They had a good year this year, went to the Elite Eight, just couldn't beat Hoover.
Right.
So he's taken over a good program. He was an assistant under Drew Powell, who's now the head coach at Saraland in the Mobile area. But, again, congrats to Coach Deacon, who's been on our show, and hopefully he's going to go back home, so to speak, even though he's really from the Mobile area, but spent some time at Thompson, and I know he's really looking forward to that challenge as well.
All right, 256-576-4977. We start you with some, I guess you could say, some morning headlines right out of the gate. Some local headlines there. Shot clock being used for high school basketball.
Everybody
and the Masters
excited,
being delayed. So 256-576-4977. That's how you can join the program, join the show throughout the morning. Nationally, the big headline was the fact that Arkansas now officially has John Calipari as their head coach.
Still looks weird. People,
red.
He wouldn't call the Hogs, though. He left.
Anyway, so John Calipari goes to a press conference yesterday.
Yep.
And he gets asked a bunch of questions as he would. Mm-hmm. Listen to what he has to say, because it's not just about Arkansas. It's about the state of college basketball. If you listen closely, John Calipari really kind of takes and throws some shade at how college basketball and really how everything is being done in college athletics right now.
You know what? I'm jacked about another opportunity. I'm like, let's go. Now, I met with the team. There is no team. So now Hunter's really extremely confident, but we got to get a roster together. And some of it is a little bit of everything, but we will. It may take a little longer because there are kids that put their name in the NBA draft that are going to go through some of the process, which means, do you wait for that kid or do you go take somebody that's not quite as good and you're going to be juggling balls? That's what we do now. So, and I said it out there. My initial thing when he asked me the question, I can't leave this team, the players. And it was Kelvin that said to me, what are you talking about? They can go wherever they want. They can go wherever they want if you stay. If you go or stay. They can go to another school. They can stay. They can go pro. They can do what they want now. And I said, you know what? I want to be happy with this. and I want to go and say, let's do this together. And I told Hunter, administrations win championships. Let's do this together. I love seeing the president out there. The chancellor. Is it Chancellor? Chancellor out there. I'm sorry. So it was fun.
So there you go. John Calipari saying some words there in his introductory press conference with the media. It's interesting because the way that he phrased that was players can go anywhere, coaches can go anywhere, you can do anything you want now. I mean, so the thing is there's no loyalty, there's nothing anymore. You can go, players can go, so why not just go and do what you want to do and be happy?
Yeah, and the inside word seems to be that he now regrets not going to UCLA instead of Mick Cronin in 2019 because the Bruins came strong with an offer, and but Kentucky countered, and you really can't outbid Kentucky. I mean, we all understand that. It all comes down to you want the job or not. And when Kentucky came with whatever it was, I guess it was $86 million and basically that lifetime contract, he decided to stay. And as he said, it had been about 10, 11 years he'd been at UK, about the same amount of time as Tubby Smith. And so he said in hindsight, it was still going good. We probably should have just moved on to UCLA to the next opportunity. But as Cal says, that's easy to say in hindsight now because you didn't see the gulf coming of the last 5 years. And he admitted that, and he's said it in his video. That he posted the goodbye. He said it to people close to him. I mean, Kentucky was the dream job for him. It was Camelot. Right. It was the arguably the best coaching job in America, and nobody turned out more pros than Calipari. I know he gets criticized for only winning one national championship, but hell, I mean, Lute Olson only won one, Jim Boeheim only won one. They're not easy to win. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And so Dean Smith won two, okay, as good as Dean Smith was. So it's just one of those things where national championships, again, Mark Few has not won as many games as he's won. He's come close twice.
I guess that's why when you look at the run UConn has gone on since 1999
under three different coaches.
That's
what makes it amazing.
Remarkable. That's what makes it. You sit back in the sport
because all of a sudden, Calipari can win one title, and Kevin Ollie gets hot one time as a 7 seed, and he couldn't coach his way out of a sandbox. That's why he's in the NBA. Bam! Wins a national championship. And I mean, it happens. I mean, but I will say this. Scott Drew has won a championship, and we'll see what happens. That wasn't decided yesterday. It was kind of that whole thing with the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, we'll get into that here. We'll get into that in just a little bit.
Never seen anything like that, man. It did confirm to me that the Kentucky fans are the looniest and craziest in collegiate athletics, okay? I know Alabama football fans are crazy too, and I love them, man, but I'm just telling you. Well, as Scott said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but, just some crazy stuff, man. Lord.
So what you're saying is
yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you're saying. In about 5 seconds, I will explain it.
Well, no, I mean, I'll just go ahead and go. Oh, you found it. Okay. No, but that is what happened. It was Looney Tunes. I mean, Scott Drew is at a Mexican restaurant with a booster, a banker from Waco. These Kentucky fans, they zoom in, they figure out where the hell the restaurant is. They call the restaurant. One of the waitresses answers the phone and said, "Can you please take this phone over there to Scott?" She goes, "Who's Scott?" And they said, "He's the guy with the with the white sweater, the white pullover on with a Baylor logo. I need to speak to him." They hand the phone to Scott Drew, and it's a Kentucky fan that says, "Hey, Scott, I'm so-and-so from Lexington, Kentucky. We'd love to have you as our next basketball coach." And he's sitting there having lunch, eating Mexican food, chips and salsa, and these Kentucky fans start blowing up the phone. Is that not something? They start getting all these phone calls. And then they had got such good customer service on the phone, they start giving them Yelp reviews. Are you kidding? I mean, wow. 5-star service.
I saw that. I was like, poor guy is eating lunch.
I can just see you and Coach Shulman having some Mexican, and then all of a sudden you start getting phone calls from boosters. I mean, and they're Coach Shulman, here's the phone.
Oh, they were tracking planes and everything.
They were.
There was a plane that came from Lexington.
From Waco to Lexington.
But Scott Drew was not on it.
Supposedly his family was on it.
His family was on it.
That's what I heard.
And it was just they are going
plane track crazy, man.
They're just going crazy, period.
But can you imagine that? I mean, I was just like, dude, what? They called the restaurant. And I mean, good job out of the waitresses, man, to identify Scott Drew and get him the phone. You know?
Look, when Alabama replaced Nick Saban, there were a lot of nervous people, I think, in the state of Alabama wondering and thinking what direction Greg Byrne was going to go in.
Yeah.
And they were anxious. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Alabama – I mean, am I wrong to assume that they would have gone that far if they would have seen a picture of Kalen DeBoer at a restaurant calling him, saying, hey, welcome in?
They would have said they're wacko. It would have been like but Matt Jones, he just cracked me up. He's like, I love the insanity of the Big Blue Nation. He goes, the energy is back. Just trying to influence a coach to, come to Lexington, Kentucky in the middle of a Mexican restaurant.
Well, these were the same fans, though, that were probably saying to Dan Hurley, look, you only have a half-full arena or a third-full arena. You would get a better celebration if you came here.
Why, hell, they're the same people that John Calipari in friggin' 15 years went to 4 Final Fours and won a national championship. They're like, you didn't win enough. I mean. I understand. You can't lose to St. Peter's, all right? But it's still a little nuts, okay? I mean, it's just a little Looney Tunes. But I will say the funniest story I've heard about, you talk about Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, one time in his first several days on the job in Tuscaloosa, they were trying to find him for a media opportunity and to fill him in on some things that were going on, and they couldn't find him. They kept looking everywhere for him. They kept calling his phone, and he had left his cell phone in his office, and they didn't know where the hell he went. And then he got back about an hour later, and they said, "Coach, where'd you go?" He went to Publix. And they're like, "Coach, you did what?" He said, "Well, I do my own grocery shop." And they're like, "Well, I don't know if that's really, if you need to do that in Tuscaloosa." He says, "Well, it took a while because, he got stopped everywhere. And when he was trying to check out, it took him over an hour to check out, So he was gone, I think, over about an hour and 45 minutes. He shopped for a few minutes, but then, inevitably they're going to recognize you.
There's people that'll do that for you
That's
now,
exactly what they said. They said, well, Coach, we got people that'll do that for you now. And then on the other side of the coin, Miss Terry told a funny story the other day that Nick Saban sent his first emails by himself. And he was really proud of himself. And
you know
he went
what?
to
That's kind of like the president reinitiating himself back into.
And then he went to the pharmacy and picked up his own medication. She said he was just very proud of himself that he'd done all that without, stuff that he doesn't have people doing it for him anymore.
Oh, we got to get a break in.
It just shows you, man. I'm just telling you.
256. There are some loony-ass people out there.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah, 256-576-4977.
The waitress answering the phone. Well, can you give this phone to Scott? Who's Scott?
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're working with a clean slate this morning. Some areas dealing with wet streets, some areas dealing with heavy rainfall. So you be careful on your trip in. Put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. What if I told you that Bigfoot is real and that he's making the best donuts you've ever had? Come see for yourself at Bigfoot's Little Donuts. Come in and order from over 50 flavors, all made hot and delicious. Ranked in the top 100 donut shops in the nation by Yelp. Bigfoot Little Donuts. Order in store or online at BigfootsLittleDonuts.com for pickup or delivery from Grub South or DoorDash. South Parkway, Huntsville, and County Line Road, Madison. Bigfoot's Little Donuts.
I'm here today with Dr. Tracy Lowry of Veracity Vein Center. Now, how does someone suspect they have vein issues?
The most common symptoms associated with vein issues include leg heaviness, aching, and swelling, with some patients having visible veins as well. Vein issues can be easily diagnosed using ultrasound, with treatments performed as an outpatient using the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Both men and women have vein issues, though men may be more likely to ignore their symptoms when they're playing golf or walking the stadium steps. They too will benefit from correction of their vein problem. Patients can contact our clinics in Huntsville and new clinics in Madison and Coleman at 256-715-7151 or visit us at VeracityVeinCenter.com.
Veracity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
I got rice cooking in the microwave. Got a 3-day.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome back in 256-576.
Hopefully they didn't cook rice in the microwave at that Mexican restaurant.
That was we
did have somebody call in or text in and want to know if Jeff called.
But here's the thing. This is what also drove a lot of Kentucky fans crazy with that picture.
Right.
Because Scott Drew was sitting at the table with Eric Shiro. And Eric Shiro is a huge Baylor supporter from Alliance Bank, from a bank down there in Waco. And that is what drove a lot of people crazy on the Kentucky side, was the fact that here is a coach sitting with a big booster from Baylor, and it was like, wait a minute, is Baylor doing what they can to try to keep Scott Drew? And this was where a lot of it really started heating up, because it was...
And that's why the fans start blowing up the phone, all the Jeff's cousins.
Because he was eating with a big Baylor booster. And everybody zooming in on the chips and salsa and making a big deal about this. This is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. But it'll also set off another domino. Whoever, if they are on the college scene, it'll set off another domino of head coaching searches, because Baylor's job is not just any run-of-the-mill job. Scott Drew has helped elevate that job to a high position, to where somebody else is going to lose their head coach. So think about this right now. Arkansas, Kentucky, USC,
Baylor potentially.
Baylor potentially.
And I think that would be
their transfer portal windows are completely open. We talked about it in football, where Alabama, Michigan, UCLA, all of their transfer portal windows were open at the exact same time, where they had 30 days, and basically you could just raid the closet of all these players on the football side. It's even worse on the basketball side because you only have, 15 scholarships?
Oh, yeah. Well, 13.
13?
13 in men's, yeah.
And so it's the percentage is smaller. I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of movement in college basketball, and that's why I think you look at it and people want to project, okay, Alabama's in a good spot for next year, and you look at these teams right here, we won't know anything about USC, Arkansas, Kentucky, potentially Baylor. We won't know anything of what they're going to look like until we see them on the court in October. Whereas you got teams, and veteran teams always seem to do this, that seem to have this success.
Well, I mean, it's just you heard Coach Calipari reference it right now. He has no players, and so they're trying to. And there's been a bunch of guys, especially that freshman class that Cal had recruited to Kentucky, that have already got into the transfer portal. I would think several of those guys will end up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I've heard that as many as 6 of his staff members could be headed to Fayetteville with him, and so we'll see. I mean, and then you referenced it, but if Scott Drew takes this Kentucky job, and I still think he's the favorite, then I think Jerome Tang will end up at Baylor. He'll leave Kansas State, and then Kansas State will set off another domino as to who they can hire, whether it could be an assistant, because Jerome Tang was when they hired him. He had been at Baylor for a long time, or they might try to go get a standing head coach. I mean, who knows? But it's just that the dominoes continue to fall, and luckily it hasn't involved Alabama or Auburn, in our state, who have both had great runs. And, Auburn right now, we've talked about it this week on the show, they're trying to rebuild their backcourt because, they've had 3 guys leave. But, look, as Nate Oates has said too, you might as well get ready. Pretty much every year, half your roster is probably going to flip over at the very least, because John Calipari is right. These kids can move anytime they want. You have to give them reason financially and from a culture standpoint to stay, or otherwise they can go pro, or they can go to another school, and they don't have to sit out right now because the NC Double Dumb, they haven't put up guardrails to try to kind of regulate NIL and this player movement. Which, look, I've always said players should be able to move, but to not have any restrictions to me is crazy.
Are they playing for the school, or are they playing for the coach now?
Oh, it's the coach. It's always been that way for years, but now there's even more freedom of movement because of what you can make while you're, I mean, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's really it's like pro sports, except it's even worse in a way, only because there's not a written contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I signed a 1-year deal. I signed a 2-year deal. I signed a 3-year deal. Hell, because in the NBA, say you sign one of them 5-year, $140 million extensions. Well, no matter who the damn coach is, unless they trade you, your ass is going to be a Chicago Bull, and you're going to get the hell beat out of you. I mean, that's just it. But you're going to go try to get yours and get buckets and be LaDum James. Run your stats up and act like you're the greatest player of all time when it's a bunch of horse manure. And then try to get people to draft your son, who shouldn't even be able to play in the NBA because he's terrible. But that's not all his fault. He should be a 4-year college player. He should develop, be a good player, have a chance to play in the pros. But LaDum's trying to ram it down everybody's throat like he did the dumbass president that was on the screen earlier.
On the dumb TV, by the way.
Yeah. That's why they call him LaDum.
Oh, anyway. I tell you what, let's get a break in. 256-576-4977. Got some college football notes to pass along. Mike Griffith had some interesting things to say on a podcast.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Did they pay him?
This was about Coach of the Year in the league. and why he thinks Kirby Smart should get more recognition.
Yeah, he's only been called the #1 coach in the sport.
Anyway, we got that. And Van Pettaway told me something interesting yesterday.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. We are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. Temperatures only climbing into the mid-60s. We're also going to be on the breezy end of the spectrum. Sustained winds through a good chunk of the afternoon, 20 to 30 miles per hour. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be in the forecast. That activity comes to an end as we head into the later part of the evening, eventually into the overnight. Speaking of the overnight, temperatures drop into the mid and upper 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got several medical calls running this morning, but I don't see anything accident-wise. No stalls or traffic signal headaches to report. You be careful this morning. Make sure you get out that door early. You might need extra time before the morning's over. You get 2 pieces of hand-breaded, juicy, tender signature chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff, North Parkway, and now South Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Atlanta Braves baseball is back, and the battle for a 7th straight division title is officially on.
Hit high and deep to left center. This has got a chance. Gone! Another home run for Olsen.
This afternoon, the Braves close out their season-opening homestand in Atlanta with another NL East battle against the New York Mets. Braves Radio goes on the air at 11:05 Eastern, 10:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
AL cert number 21014.
Are those high utility bills driving you crazy this time of year? If they are, Talent Heating and Air has the special for you.
That's right. We're going to run a $49 spring checkup on your system. We're going to come out, we're going to check those heat kits, make sure that everything was working through the winter right, and then we're going to also make sure your Freon's good, make sure that you're ready for the summertime.
How important is that to be done this time of year?
It's really the most important time of the year. We can avoid safety concerns caused by wintertime use, and then we can also make sure that you're ready for the summertime.
And to get ready for the summertime, you just got to call
256-503-4490.
Or you can find them online at
TalentHVAC.com.
That's Talent Heating and Air. One more time.
256-503-4490.
Talent Heating and Air. Let them save you money. All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And coming up on Monday, the Huntsville-Madison County Athletic Hall of Fame will induct their new class over in the North Hall. Among those, Ramsey Robinson, Kenneth Darby, they are going into the Hall of Fame in this class. And when I go to these meetings, and I go to one a year, and it's the one leading into the Hall of Fame ceremonies, I get a chance to catch up with Van Pettaway.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Former Alabama A&M head coach who took the Bulldogs to the play-in game. At the time, it really was the play-in game because they only had won the first four.
Yeah.
And they faced Oakland.
They did.
And the same Oakland that beat Kentucky, same coach at Oakland that was there.
He's been there 40 years.
He's been there. And now we got to talking, and Coach Pettaway was like, so is this, Cal Perry going there? And I said, yeah, Coach. I said, he's going to get about $8 million, probably $7-8 million to play around.
Plus $1 million signing bonus.
With the collective.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he goes, hell, don't let that fool you. He goes, Kentucky's had a collective the whole time.
Of course.
He goes, they just didn't call it a collective back then. He goes, but they all have had collectives before. He goes, they just didn't call it collective. He goes, don't let it fool you. And he goes, that's been going around in college basketball forever. He goes, yeah. So it was kind of funny when he told me that. He just looked at me. He's like, I
don't disagree with Coach at all.
Long before this,
Chris Mills, envelopes falling open. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
They got in some hot water.
Just got a laugh out of that. He went to the Final Four. He said he had a good time in Arizona.
Did he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I asked him, I said, so they put you guys in the Bob Uecker seats?
Uh-oh.
He's like, no. He goes, they actually give him really good seats. He
That's
goes,
good.
he's only missed one Final Four.
Oh, really?
Since he's been able to go, in all these years, he's missed one Final Four, but he goes every year to watch the Final Four. Yeah. So coaches and college coaches, retired coaches, they get
tickets.
They get tickets to the Final
I know.
Four. So
Lenny Acuff, his family was there.
Yeah, he put on a coaching clinic.
Yeah, he's he's always been heavily involved. In the as part of his board as a board member, and involved in the rules committee and in the administrative part of college basketball as well, and helping the game. So it was great to see him and his wife and of course Will out there.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. I mean, today's show, I know we're going to talk some more college basketball as we go along, but today's show just has one of those really, really local feels to it. And so, by the way, our very, very good friend, Brewer Hicklin, who is in Nashville, AAA baseball.
With the Brewers.
Hit his first home run yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But for those that don't know, Brewer Hicklin is doing something very special for an organization here in town this year for every home run that he hits. Here is Brewer real fast on this.
Hey guys, Brewer Hicklin here with the Milwaukee Brewers. Our AAA season has finally started, and this year I'm so excited about our Homers for Hope challenge, where I'm donating $100 for every home run that I hit. I'm even more excited because I want to get you guys involved, and I'm going to put a link below where you can donate $1, $5, $20, whatever you're comfortable with for each home run that I hit. This year, I'm supporting a foundation in Huntsville called the Bullpen Foundation. But essentially, it equips inner city youth kids with equipment, facilities, and mentorship, and helping provide them the opportunity to experience youth sports in a great way that have benefited my life tremendously. And I'm really excited about this, and I think we can raise a ton of money for these kids, and hopefully I can continue to hit a lot more home runs. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'm looking forward to seeing how many we can hit this year.
Absolutely, man.
So we're going to put that link. We're going to put the link on our Facebook page, and we're going to put the link on our Twitter page.
Yeah.
For those that want to continue to donate to the Bullpen Foundation. It's here in Huntsville. that they give inner city youth athletic programs hope and an opportunity to pursue their dreams without limitations. We're going to put the link on there. He hit his first home run of the season the other day, so donations are coming in. But Brewer Hicklin has always been good to us.
Yes.
Been good to the show, and so we want to be good to him as well. So we're going to help spread the word there and give that out. Let's go out to the phone lines. Richard is with us. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. I mean, all the stuff you're talking about, I don't know if there's ever been a crazier year, I guess, off the court in college hoops ever. I mean, you know, what a wild year.
Do you have any Kentucky friends that called the restaurant?
No, I like you said, may have been Jeff there out there. That's maybe we'll start trying to track you guys down at the Big Chief or something. Drew has some big Alabama news to break. Tracking him down.
Yeah.
I do one thing on Cal.
Yeah.
Mick Cronin's big complaint this year is they don't give him any NIL. Just I'd like to see Cal at UCLA with no money.
Oh Lord. I mean,
yeah. Because I guess UCLA had a losing record, didn't they?
Yeah, Mick had a bad year this year, and I heard that he was very interested in the Louisville job, but I just don't know that they pursued him, or maybe he decided not to pursue said job, even though he was interested. Maybe they kicked the tires. I don't know, but I just, from people that follow that program, especially in the media, Mick, as you know, he spent so much time at Cincinnati, and he's from the Midwest, and again, did not have a good year at UCLA.
He had a big buy. He had a pretty big buy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One thing you guys were talking about, kind of the transfer portal, and one thing is, the NCAA instituted this year that you could only transfer once, and the next time you transferred, you had to sit out twice. So, these coaches all cried about all their guys leaving, but then they sued. 3 or 4 of them sued about not having, not letting these guys play. So it's part of it's the coach's own fault.
Yeah, they changed.
They don't want them to transfer from their school, but then they want the kid in so they don't get fired.
Yeah, the 2 lawsuits that happened in the beginning of the year, beginning of this calendar year, changed everything, and it changed everything for football as well now. So there is no more, you transfer once, you got to sit out rule. Now you can transfer. The only thing you can't do is transfer from one school like we saw in high school level here in this state. You can't transfer on a Saturday and turn around and be in a new school on a Monday and play. You can't do that. You can't do in-season transfer, but you can transfer as many times now as you want.
Like I said, they kind of cry, but then they go out and start, having people sue for them to, get the player in. So, like I said, most of it's the coaches because they could have just sat there and kind of accepted it. But, like I said, they didn't. So, when you don't have any players on your roster, I have a feeling Coach Cal will have 5 or 6 there pretty soon.
Oh, I don't think there's any question when you've seen some of the UK kids that were on the current roster and in the number 1 ranked recruiting class already going into the portal. Some of them are going to end up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We've already seen Alabama have some movement. One, a walk-on, Max Charnowski, and then, of course, a scholarship player, but he did not play, Chris Parker. He redshirted. Never really expected him to come back, and we'll see in the coming days who else decides to depart.
Yeah, I would think there'll be 3 or 4 of them at least.
Yeah, no doubt.
And several probably go pro, so you're going to have probably 5, 6 or so, here in the next couple of weeks. When Alabama gone.
Mm-hmm. You will.
I would think.
You would. So. The 2 with the best pro aspirations are, of course, Sears and Grant Nelson, and we'll see what feedback they get. And, of course, NIL, but we've already heard some positivity on that front, and not like we've heard from Kentucky and UCLA, where John Calipari was very transparent yesterday saying that he had to do a lot of the NIL, fundraising in his mind at Kentucky, and now won't have to do that at Arkansas.
Well, one thing is I know Patino goes out and does a lot of meetings in New York, so it's I guess maybe what school you're at, and also Arkansas has 2 or 3 large boosters, Tyson, Hunt Brothers, there's
Walton.
Tyson got a standing ovation yesterday during the press conference. They showed him on the video board.
Yeah,
and John Tyson got a standing ovation.
Yeah, the Razorback fans are eating it up.
Yeah, he was a big factor in getting Calipari there. He was a big factor in getting Calipari to Memphis, by the way. as well, because one of Tyson's sons graduated from Memphis or went to Memphis. And so when Calipari was going there, that he is a big reason why
I'm just telling you,
Calipari
man,
went to Memphis.
When these Kentucky-Arkansas games going to get heated, I'm just telling you.
I tell you what, Kentucky played at Arkansas this last year, so you got the two new teams in, but you just assuming you would think that Arkansas would go to Kentucky next year. Like I said, it could change with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, so you're going to have a little bit different, scheduling logic, I would assume, going forward. But like I said, if it holds up like last year, I know Kentucky beat them, in Arkansas last year. So Calipari probably will have to go back. I do have a buddy of mine over in Atlanta that works for Tyson, and I called him yesterday, and I said, call up John Tyson and tell him I want to go to the Alabama game up there and sit in the box, but I want him to pick me up in his jet, me and some of my Alabama buddies. I said, go ahead and call him or give me his cell phone number. This guy's not important at all. He goes, yeah, like I have his cell number. I was giving him a hard time to hook me up with John Tyson so I can get him to fly me up for the Bama game next year.
Good stuff, Richard.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, crazy year though. Large, big name coaches changing jobs, which usually you don't see.
I know it has been crazy, no doubt about it.
I did see where McCaskill at Texas Tech. I saw him rumored for the Baylor job.
Oh, McCaslin. Well,
I don't know if he's any connection at all, or
him and Jerome Tang, but I still would think Jerome would be the favorite. I would be surprised if it wasn't him.
Yeah, like you said, those two would be the Was McCaskill on the staff there at one time at Baylor? Or?
I don't know his entire history. It may be that he was, a part of what Scott Drew built there. But Tang was the lead recruiter for many, many years, and I would think his connection to Baylor would be very, very strong and be tough to beat.
Tell you one thing. I mean, if Scott Drew does go, it's going to be the difference between night and day. I mean, like you said, with the Big Blue Nation and those guys, kind of almost like what you talked about, DeBoer going to the grocery store on his own.
Yeah.
Out. I mean, it'll be the same way. And, like Cal walking his dog the other day, had people filming him walking his dog on Monday or whatever it was. So, out versus, Waco, you get to hang out with Chip and Joanna Gaines, and that's about it. I mean, outside of that, I mean, a different world up there.
No question.
Yep, no question. All right, Richard, thanks for the phone call, bud.
Later.
All right, 7:47. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll stay back out on the phone lines. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Some locations getting very heavy rain, lots of ponding water on the roadways. You be careful this morning. Everybody seems to be doing a good job, though. We don't have anything on the board accident-wise, no stalls or traffic signal headaches. That can change quickly, so you be careful. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Situated downtown on Clinton Avenue, you'll find the Church Street family's take on delicious seafood and more. Sea Salt. At Sea Salt, the food speaks for itself. Fresh oysters, shrimp and lobster, and non-seafood fare. Plus a large selection of wines, regional and local beers on tap, and a full bar. Catch the downtown vibe with Sea Salt's unique outdoor city street and patio seating with a view of Jesse Andrews' mural, bringing an underwater world to life. No reservations necessary. Sea Salt, 114 Clinton Avenue.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance, to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And if you head to our Twitter page.
You put the link up, right?
Or if you head to our Facebook page, yes.
Yep.
The links just hit the post now for the Facebook one. But it's up there. The donation for the Homers for a Cause, or the Homers for Hope,
yep.
where Brewer Hicklin is giving inner city youth athletic programs hope and an opportunity to pursue their dreams without limitations. He is giving $100 for every home run that he hits, and we invite you, our listeners, to click on that link on our Facebook page, click on the link on our Twitter page, and make a donation as well. $1, $5, $10, doesn't matter. Make a donation. It's all local. It's all here in Huntsville. And like we said, Brewer's been very good to us, and we want to be good for him as well.
Well, and the good thing is, too, we have a lot of great listeners, and especially in the coaching fraternity that point us in the right direction. And there seems to be some buzz that if Scott Drew goes to Kentucky, that his longtime assistant Alvin Brooks could end up taking over, and that would make some sense as to why it's taken. They didn't. We didn't hear something official yesterday. They may be trying to ease this transition along, because in this portal era, as we've already heard, if you promote from within, potentially you could hang on to your roster,
right?
At Baylor. So that will be very interesting to see if that happens. And I did confirm, Richard just asked, but Grant McCaslin, he did spend, from 2011 to 2016 on that Baylor staff under Scott Drew. So, yeah, he has some connections there as well.
All right, let's go on to the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Did he get a sugar high, man? Did he finish it, even though it blew all over, all the powdered sugar?
Dude, yesterday when he got that thing and that wind started blowing, he looked like Ron Washington's nose in a mirror. It was terrible.
I don't know if you saw that, Scott. I did
not.
His son, Bo, partook in a dessert that probably would have put me in the hospital. Brandon sent me some pictures of this said dessert, this Oreo, monstrosity.
Ah, there it is. Dude, that would kill you.
That's what I mean. Somebody
that would kill you.
I had somebody message me and say that's a diabetic coma. It probably would be.
That would kill you.
I'd have to stay away from that one, man.
I mean, sugar cookie damn near killed you.
I mean, that thing was crazy, but I mean, I couldn't eat this, man. What? And Brandon, what was it again?
It's a funnel cake with Oreos, marshmallows, powder,
sugar, yeah,
chocolate syrup, all this stuff. It's like the size of a hubcap.
It did look like the size of a hubcap. It looked like one of those tenderloin sandwiches that Scott always talks about.
They put it on like 3 paper plates so that it doesn't bend in the middle. And he comes back, and I look at him, and he stares at me, and he says, "It only cost $8, I swear." I was ready to kill him. I was like, that thing had $30. And but he got that, and I'm thinking, okay, a souvenir drink's $8, and that's $8. No wonder the Rockies are 3-10 at this point.
Uh-oh.
They're all messed up. I'll donate $100 to Brewer Hickman, hoping he doesn't end up playing for the Rockies one day. Good Lord.
We just hope he gets to the show. Come on.
Yeah.
Y'all were playing Looney Tunes earlier?
Yes.
Y'all remember when Wile E. Coyote used to run through the wall and it would leave a perfect silhouette of his body?
Yeah, we remember that.
You think that's what Barnhart's door looked like when Calipari went out?
I don't really think they spoke to each other, so I wouldn't
think that's what's the most amazing thing about all of this.
Right.
Is the fact that when it was surprising when they kept him.
Yeah.
And Mitch Barnhart, and they do this awkward video podcast thing where they're both sitting together and they're talking about coming back for the next year, and it felt very awkward at the time.
Totally fake.
And it was just like, okay.
Well, I heard it referred to as a dog and pony show.
Yeah, this was bad. It was very bad. Yeah. And first of all, Kentucky should never have to do that in basketball. You shouldn't have to sit there and do that. It was almost like, it's just very odd feeling. And then when this search comes along, Calipari's telling everyone, look, we didn't want to do anything on Monday or Sunday because of the Final Four.
Yeah,
we didn't want to overshadow that. Never once did he mention anything about going in and talking to Mitch Barnhart. Never once did he mention anything about telling Kentucky.
No.
Never once did he mention anything about anything. And I think it was interesting when he said, look, I can go anywhere at any time. It was like,
if you read the article on The Athletic, it was just basically, John Theisen calling him and then getting he and Hunter Yurachek in the same room when they were in Phoenix, and then supposedly the first discussions were about who should Arkansas hire, and then all of a sudden, whether you believe it or not, totally or not, then it was all of a sudden Hunter Yurachek. What about you?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, John Calipari, who should we hire as our head coach?
Yeah.
Who would you recommend?
And then John Tyson saying, hey, we didn't get this done, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Why don't we get this done now? And so,
the whole thing is dangerous.
Go ahead, Brandon.
As far as the Braves go,
yeah,
I'm gonna say something that it may be slightly controversial, but the man has proven his innocence. Just go get Trevor Bauer for the league minimum.
Oh,
just go get him.
They may have to.
If you're gonna keep Ozuna, which I ain't mad at him 2 years ago, all good now. If you're gonna keep him through all that, Bauer was innocent. He proved it. Go get him, put him on the staff, get another decent pitcher for little money, and let's move forward because they need to make moves now. They need to do something now. They don't need to let it drag on for the season because Strider ain't coming back. It's over. I don't see him coming back before
agree.
At least beginning the playoffs.
Oh, he won't even be back for the play. I wouldn't even think. I wouldn't think they'd rush him back. They've already signed a long-term deal. He's too important. So I would think the Trevor Bauer thing may end up being a move they may have to make.
Well, and it's like yesterday watching the Rockies. Could we let a pitcher get out of the fourth inning?
Not in today's game.
Not in today's.
Not in today's game. In today's game, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I remember y'all had Leo Mazzoni on the show?
Yeah, we've had Leo on a couple times.
Dude, I bet he has watching some of these games. That's all he can do to keep from taking a sledgehammer.
Well, hellfire. We got him to cuss one time. He said the S word.
On this show, that's normal.
Yeah, I know. Well, not today.
I would love to see one of the Manning casts of him watching a baseball game when they make a pitching change. Oh, my God, it'd be Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. All right, Brandon, thanks for the phone call.
Thanks for the phone call, brother.
Yeah, I think the biggest laugh that everybody got this week was the SD word you used.
Oh, yeah, I had people running off the road for that.
Yeah, he just pulled that one out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Call us back, Steeler Mike. We got a guest to go to here.
Yeah, we
got
do.
Blake Lovell. He's gonna chime in on John Calipari, and it's Scott Drew going to
Give us
Kentucky.
a call about 8:15. Give us a call about 8:15. We'll get you in, I promise.
Yep, and I promise I won't call Tennessee slapdicks.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the G-Bank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
PGA, the Masters gets underway in Augusta, Georgia today at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy is looking to complete a career Grand Slam, and all-time great Tiger Woods was quoted as saying, no question, he'll do it at some point. McIlroy said it's a heck of a confidence boost to hear that.
It's flattering. It's nice to hear, in my opinion, the best player ever to play the game say something like that. So
Scotty Scheffler, the favorite to win the 88th Masters, he's at 9-2. John Rahm and McIlroy follow at 11-1. Find out more by downloading VSiN's free 30-page Masters betting primer at VISN.com. Get the latest lines and more at VSiN.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Keep your racehorse tied up if you don't want it to catch a subway.
Good eye.
Yeah, good eye, mate. Anyway, the Final Four was entertaining.
Yes, it was.
And we said it going into the Final Four that not always does the best two teams face off in college basketball for the national championship. You could make a case that this year going into the game, that was the case, Purdue and UConn. Then after the Final Four, usually it's kind of like, okay, let's catch our breath. Let's exhale a little bit. Let's figure out what we got coming back next year. Let's just step away from college basketball for a little bit, and let's just catch our breath. We don't have time for that right now because after the Final Four, John Calipari bolts to Arkansas. Kentucky needs a new head coach. There's over close to 2,000 kids in the transfer portal for college basketball trying to find a home, which is absolutely insane. Boy, oh boy. College basketball you think is over, but it's just beginning.
Yeah, it really is. It's this coaching carousel has been crazy. I know they've had a lot to talk about over at Southeastern 14, and one of their lead analysts, who is as plugged in as anyone we speak with, is now going to rejoin us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And that is Blake Lovell from Nashville, Tennessee. Blake, I hope you had a great Final Four and enjoyed the college basketball. But the real soap opera has been unfolding in Fayetteville, Arkansas. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, guys. It certainly has. Again, it's just always fascinating to me that all it takes is one job opening somewhere, and that usually leads us down this path to where you get so many other jobs that come available and that you just didn't really expect necessarily. And so, yeah, it leads to stuff like this where you have one guy jump somewhere and then another guy jump somewhere else. And here we are now trying to figure it all out. So
when the Arkansas job came open, it's funny how these coaching searches work sometimes. Usually there is a favorite for the job. And lots of times
Chris Beard.
That favorite just kind of slides in there. John Calipari was not, we believe, and I guess you could help us, he was not their favorite, but somehow ends up with the job.
Yeah, he wasn't the favorite at the beginning by any means. I don't think there were some people trying to convince me that this was some master plan, but I don't think that was the case. I think the master plan came about after the actual master plan fell through, and I think that's pretty clear as day. I don't think this was Arkansas's idea from the start. But as always in these things, it's once you start going down the line and start realizing that this guy, he's not an option. This guy's also not an option. Then I think there comes that point on your list where you take a step back and go, okay, do we just keep going down our list, or do we look out there and try to figure out something that is sort of out of the box idea that may at least spark a conversation. And I think that's where, for Arkansas, you think about everything that had been going on with Kentucky. I said it. I'm like, I don't know how they returned together. I think the relationship's gotten too toxic. And I think everyone had sort of settled in thinking, well, Cal's staying there. And I always had the thought in the back of my mind, never did I think it would be Arkansas. But I'm like, there are still situations where he is not going to be their coach next year. It all just depends on what jobs become available, as he said. And so once you started connecting the dots, you could see that this was one that actually would make sense. And it sounds like both parties found a way to get it done. And honestly, I think it's a win-win for both sides, just based on how things have unfolded here the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it really does seem like a win-win for both sides. And now, though, is the other? There's still more craziness because Arkansas has no roster, as John Calipari basically referred yesterday.
Yeah, that's always the issue. Is I mean, it's like it's April the 11th, and the Final Four was played, as we know, like just several days ago, and it's one of those things where it feels like the coaching carousel should be done by now. But again, now it's just getting started. If you really think about it, you look at different coaching availabilities that could be there based on how this thing unfolds with Kentucky and all that. And so it's very interesting because this is an era where you have to go find your guy, and you have to do it as quickly as possible. Because if you don't, this is what happens. You lose your entire roster. And so it's just, I don't even know what to make of it anymore. It's one of those things where, you start to see guys decommitting from Kentucky. We all know what the options are available after that. And so, he's got to rebuild his roster, but the good news for Cal is there's 2,000 of them out there right now that he can choose from. And, and he's got freshmen, of course, that are going to follow him over. And so, this is just the nature of where we are right now. So.
Yeah, it was interesting when Coach Cal did say, look, I wasn't going to go because I didn't want to leave these kids. And then somebody tells me, look, they can go anywhere, so I can go anywhere. I just thought it was interesting that he made a point to say that yesterday in his introductory press conference.
Yeah, I think, as we know, when this whole thing started, it used to be, well, coaches can go anywhere they want, and, the kids should be able to as well. And I think some coaches probably have just gotten tired of hearing that, saying, well, yeah, obviously, that's the case, but this is just the way the business has always been. And it is one where we always say, now, players for the most part, now not everyone, but players for the most part are committing to the coach. They're not necessarily just committing to the school because, and that's, again, not in every case, but I think you look at a lot of these and you see how quick Josh Cohen at Arkansas, I think, flipped in about 5 minutes after Eric Musselman took the job at USC, and you're just thinking, this is just the way it is now, where, and Cal's not saying anything that's untrue. Like, it's just a matter of how this thing works, how the game is played in this era. And, it's going to be the same thing for Scott Drew, most likely at, Kentucky. It's going to be trying to figure out, okay, where do I start here in terms of building the roster and figuring out exactly where to go. And that's just, everybody can move about freely right now. So,
well, and now what do we make of, Kentucky and their search? Do you know somebody that called the restaurant?
It's just, I can't imagine, when you think about a Kentucky coaching search, I'm just always like, you never know what possibilities are going to pop up because these things just are always such an interesting, just interesting to say the least. And so, I think at this point I'd be surprised if it's not Scott Drew, but this could be also one of those things where you take it to the final hour and you just kind of say, I don't know. I just don't know if I'm 100% thinking this is it. This is the spot for me. And, we talk about job security and pressure and all those kind of things. It's just, he could be the coach for life at Baylor if he wanted to. There's no pressure on him now based on what he's accomplished there. But, if you go to Kentucky, your expectation is next season you need to be at least getting to the Sweet 16 or beyond. And, that's a challenge. And so, but I think what you have to keep in mind with Scott Drew, and this is why I think this will ultimately work out in probably both parties' favor, is that he's only 53. It feels like Scott Drew's been coaching for, I don't know how long, but it's like you think about how long he's been at Baylor, and and what he did to just take what was just a complete dumpster fire and turn it into a national champion. And now I think it's one of those situations where, again, let's say this doesn't work out for him in Kentucky. Well, even if it doesn't, he's still got a good, 10 to 15 years of coaching still left, even if it doesn't. And so I think it's one where if you take the shot now, I've always said, to me, this is one of those 1% type jobs, meaning there are probably only 1% of coaches in the world that could handle what comes with the Kentucky job. Do I know if Scott Drew 100% would be able to handle all the media stuff that comes along with it, everything that's just outside of coaching your team? I don't know. John Calipari felt perfect with the Kentucky job because he was a guy that could handle everything that came along with it, and obviously they didn't win the way they wanted to towards the end there in the NCAA tournament, but it's not something that is for everyone. And I feel like Scott Drew is someone who would embrace some of that, but, I mean, it's still much different than Baylor, and so I'm curious to see how this whole thing plays out. So,
well, and it's funny how things have been playing out. It's now harder and harder to hire elite coaches away from jobs because, look, man, Alabama's come so far in 5 years. They get to the Final Four, and their coach takes his name out of the Kentucky job.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, because we were talking about that, obviously, when this thing first started. We're like, okay, Nate Oates, he's going to get mentioned. Of course he is, because you just look at what he's accomplished there. But, I said kind of the same thing. I'm like, Nate Oates could coach at Alabama for the next decade and would not have anywhere near the type of pressure. He just got Alabama the first Final Four. His name's going to pop up in every big coaching search for the next however long he's there. But you just come to expect it because that's what you do when you elevate kind of, the program and the job the way that he has. And it comes with the territory. And so that's the way it's always going to be. But it really is just a matter of what drives certain coaches. And I think that's why, we were having the Hurley discussion. Is like, people were thinking, well, there's no way this guy's going to go win back-to-back national championship. There's no way he'd go to Kentucky. I'm like, I'm not saying he's going to be the next coach, but it's like, he is the kind of guy that I think would go to Kentucky if the offer was right, because that's what drives him. He is driven to be someone who, to me, I'm just imagining this scenario where his response is, you know what? I just won back-to-back national championships at UConn. I'm going to go win back-to-back national championships in Kentucky. And I think that's what certain guys want to achieve. And it is really, again, just what drives a certain coach. Is it just money? Is it just any of this other stuff? There are so many factors that are involved. And so I think it always leads to these kind of wild west scenarios in the coaching carousels, because you just don't know what's going to possibly lure a coach from one place to the other. And yeah, there's a lot that comes along with it. So,
well, and I know you've watched him his entire career, especially in the final two stops at Memphis and then the SEC, the last 15 years with Kentucky. Your thoughts on his ultimate fit? And I think he can still get Arkansas to a Final Four. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's really, as we've said this every year, he's just got to continue to adapt. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is he's got to get back to doing what worked for him, I think, sort of in the early stages when he was at Kentucky. And I say early stage, I mean, it really wasn't even that long ago. I mean, I'm thinking it's only been 5 years or something like that since they really started to go the opposite direction in the tournament. But those were teams that had great offensive players, but they also were built, their identity was defensively. They were teams that just were so hard to score against. And they, yes, had still young guys and all this other stuff. But I think what we're going to see is, to me, Cal started to show that he's willing to evolve offensively last year.
Right.
And it helps having great players. But he was more willing to allow them to play more of a free-flowing type of offense versus just one guy dribbles, four guys stand around, and that's what their offense had become. It felt like at times during some of those struggles and years that they were having issues. And so I think they got to go back out and be able to go find good defensive players, go find older players. You can't just have two. You can't just have Antonio Reeves and Mitchell like they did last year. You need to have at least five of those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build the rest of the roster with freshmen, that's fine. But I just think it can't just be relying on one or two guys as the only upperclassmen on the roster. You're just not going to win. I think right now, with that, now after you get that extra, you get some of the 6-year guys out of the mix and all this other stuff, then, maybe things start to change a little bit. But I just think he's got to continue to evolve. But like you said, Drew, I don't really have a lot of doubt that Cal is going to be successful at Arkansas, because at some point it just becomes a relationship where it's better for both parties to move their separate ways. I think this will rejuvenate him, and I think he's got an opportunity to have a lot of success there.
Does it say something about the league as a whole that he goes from Kentucky to Arkansas, doesn't leave the SEC, but just goes from one SEC school to another SEC school?
Yeah, and if they get Scott Drew, I think they're going to be the top league in the country,
Does it say
right,
something
Blake?
about the conference?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? Someone had asked this yesterday, and it was no secret, as some of the reports said out there. Like, this is something I can remember hearing years and years ago. Like, Cal he used to always talk positively about the Arkansas job. Like, he used to really, it's not like he's talking about it all the time, but you could sense that when he was at Memphis and such, like, there was always a respect there, I think, for that job and just, what it meant, like in the tradition and history of Arkansas and all this other stuff. But someone asked yesterday, and I thought it was a very good question. It's like, does he take any other job in the SEC except for Arkansas in this scenario? And I'm thinking, that's actually a really good point. I don't know if he would have taken another job other than Arkansas. But that's the thing, right? You look at how many coaches are in place at these other schools to where now it's like Tennessee's not coming open, Auburn's not coming open, Alabama's not coming open. Like, you just keep going down the line. You're like, all of these places are set with coaches that have done incredible things at these schools. And that's just where we are now. And so this job becoming open strengthens the SEC, because this may have been the only other job that Cal would have taken in this kind of scenario. And so it's perfect for the SEC, because now you get him at Arkansas. If you get Scott Drew coming into Kentucky, I mean, we always say, it feels like each year we're saying the same thing about the coaching roster, but it really is now, where you're looking at this and thinking, my goodness, I mean, and I know, like, people talk about what's Porter Mosier's, fit at Oklahoma and all this, but you've still going to have another guy coming in who's been to a Final Four. And so it's like you're just adding more and more accolades to, this conference as Texas and Oklahoma come in. So, yeah, it will be, I don't think there's any question. When you look at what the coaching roster is going to look like now next year, assuming it's Scott Drew, which even if it's not, I would assume that whoever else is going to be there, is going to probably have a lot that they've already accomplished too. So, it's pretty remarkable. So.
No doubt. Well, there's going to be tons to talk about on Southeastern 14. Let everybody know how to connect with you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Yeah, you can find us on YouTube, Southeastern 14. We'll certainly have some stuff going up here soon on Kentucky's hire and everything else. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at @TheBlakeLove.
Yeah, they were on the air, Scott, the other day at live 8 o'clock. Got 1,000 people already.
Hey, it's SEC basketball. Who would have ever thought, right? Like, who would have ever thought we'd be here? So.
I know.
Great stuff, Blake.
Thanks, Blake.
Man. Thanks, guys.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the phone lines. We're going to get a break in. Give us a call. We'll go to the phone lines after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck headed into Decatur on the causeway. They're now pushing all the traffic over into the left lane. Got emergency equipment on the scene there now. Had one on the Parkway southbound at Winchester. It was a hit and run. The remaining vehicles off in a parking lot. And Blake Bottom and Indian Creek's working. It reported as an injury type. Snelling can help with admin, accounting, or business support personnel. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at 5. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed precision overhead garage door service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms can include pain, heaviness, aching, fatigue, or swelling at the end of the day. If this has been the case, then Varicosity Vein Center can come to your aid. Evaluation and treatment of the veins is performed as an outpatient, utilizes the latest, minimally invasive techniques, and is covered by most insurances. After treatment, patients may resume most normal activities without delay. Varicosity Vein Center now has 3 North Alabama locations, one in Huntsville on South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road. Our new locations include Madison at Madison Hospital Complex and Coleman at the Coleman Regional Sports Medical Center. You can call 256-715-7151 to set up your appointment with one of our experienced and compassionate team members, or you can visit online at varicosityveincenter.com. Varicosity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flow Supreme Air. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flow tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flow, think fun for everyone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in. It is 8:21 on a Thursday morning. Once again, if you are expecting to have the Masters be teed off right now,
just be a little patient.
Be a lot of patience.
It'll be there.
Expected 9:30 start time for the Masters. 9:30 start time. 9:10 for the ceremonial first tee shot. So the patrons, about 9 minutes is when they are expected to open the gates there.
Well, that's on Eastern time too, isn't it?
Well, that's 8:30 Central time.
Yeah.
So it's 9:30
over
Eastern time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Steeler Mike is with us.
Appreciate you calling back, man. What's up?
Well, it's the slap guy. I won't say the word.
Nah, you're not.
Wow.
You're not.
So to quote the great Bob Uecker,
yeah,
a.k.a. Harry Doyle,
yep.
If you haven't noticed, and judging by attendance, you haven't, the Pirates have managed to win a few games.
Oh.
9-3, kid.
Are they threatening to climb out of the cellar?
I'm a Pirates fan. I know better. But the goal is this.
Hey, we admire you for hanging in.
June 29th, I'm going to go down. My best friend lives down there, and growing up in East Tennessee, he lives down. We're going to go see the Pirates and the Braves the 29th. And the goal is for the Pirates to be relevant then, so I can take 2 signs in. One, I'm going to get on TV. Number one, I'm going to hold up a sign that said Sid was out, just so I can get the whole stadium to boo me if possible. And the other one is, and if I can take 2 in, I'm going to also take my Tennessee stuff and that says "Former for President," sign Drew DeArmond.
Oh,
and just
my
hold that
God.
up.
Then everybody knows that wasn't me. Hey, I just letting America know. I'd say Fulmer can go, clean Biden's bathroom. That's what I would bet on the sign. They can both go straight to hell.
I appreciate it, Drew. Thank you for the hatred. Let them hate so long as they respect. That's my
Yes,
motto.
sir.
But anyway, question, Owaka. Any reason you've gotten why he's transferring? Obviously, probably NIL money. What's your take?
I mean, with all these guys, some of them are going to, Michie Johnson, think about South Carolina. He was their leading scorer, but he goes back to Ohio State.
Came from Ohio State.
Goes back there.
Goes to South Carolina, now going back to Ohio State.
Owaka could be that. And it could be that Rick can upgrade. I mean, Rick Barnes has become kind of a portal master. They certainly identified Dalton Connect, and he's going to be, I think, a high lottery pick. Rick may already have his eyes on some other guys. I mean, if he's got a really – because, I mean, it's become like in both college basketball and college football, you almost need a player personnel guy that is in tune to the portal, in tune to who's out there. And then, of course, you kind of know through back channels who's going to move on and who's going to look to get in the transfer portal and where you can upgrade your roster. So, again – we'll see, but Rick's got it. Their program is really, really good. I thought they were going to the Final Four this year. I really thought they were going to break through along with that. More so than Alabama. I did not have Alabama in the Final Four. I'm certainly happy that they went. I thought this was going to be Tennessee's year, but certainly if Rick keeps hammering at it, I know he gets criticized, but he's done a great job at Tennessee.
And Rick gets the label regular season Rick, and it's kind of right at Tennessee. He went to a Final Four at Texas.
He did.
So,
yeah.
It's not like
they're hard to get to, man. I mean,
well, look, we mentioned it earlier in the show, and it kind of you don't think about it too much, but we look at everything that North Carolina did, and Dean Smith, he won just 2 national championships. 2.
We just talked about that today.
And how
Dean
great
Smith
of a
only won
coach
2.
he is. He won just 2.
Yeah.
In college basketball.
Cal just won 1.
Yes.
And Cal just won 1, and he's a god up there at Kentucky. But
and I'm not taking away from it, but I'm just telling you got to have the basketball gods shine upon you, because Carolina in 82 and 93 could have easily lost both those games, and they won them both.
I've always said this, and that changes the football playoff, but the hardest tournament to win or hardest championship to win in sports is the NCAA tournament, followed by the NFL playoffs.
Yes. I would agree with that 100%, yeah.
And it's just, you run into people that have 5th, 6th-year seniors that have been in the program and invested, these Oakland teams, even Yale, and they've got guys that are there and are not transferring. So you run into those type teams. But anyway, boys, go Pirates. Got a 4 games to the Phillies. That's where all eyes will. I hope some people watch the Masters with the Pirates playing the Phillies this weekend, but we'll see. Guys, have a great day.
Thank you.
I love your show, and I appreciate what you guys do so much.
Thank you, sir.
Steeler Mike. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, he's right, because you look at it in college football, how many times have we seen there has been a huge disparity between the SEC and the rest of college football's landscape.
Yep.
And the SEC, you get to the national title games, and they've not been close.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's just been a huge disparity. So once you get to the title game, if you're the favorite, you're pretty much going to win. I mean, that's just how it's been working. In college basketball, that is a gauntlet.
It is.
It is a gauntlet to get through it, to win it. Let's go out to Johnny on his cell real fast. Good morning, Johnny.
Johnny, did you enjoy the Final Four, man?
I certainly enjoyed the Final Four.
There you go.
I fell, 5th place or so in the bracket challenge. So I'm looking forward to the golf stuff. But, April brings the great awakening of baseball. It brings us the Masters, and we get spring football. We get to kind of start figuring where we are. And so I'll say this. If there's a rim protector out there in the portal that we can go grab at Bama, I would, one of those Klingon types.
There's like 3 of them out there.
Scott, he's already becoming a portal master.
I mean, if Bediako had, if we had Bediako on this last team, and with the run that they made, obviously, who knows if we're still fighting. I mean, I think that's the one element that was really missing from this team all year long was that rim protector. And Bediako was one they had groomed to the point where he got, I mean, if he had come back and had made the continued progress he had been making under Oates, there's no telling what that team could have been. But, I mean, Final Four, heck yeah, man. Oates is, I mean, I know he's not going to win Coach of the Year, but in my book, I mean, not many people did he had to hire a whole new staff, had to replace like 90% of his offense from the year before, including 3 guys to the NBA. I think you've got to look at Alabama's got a gem in him, and obviously him deciding not to go to Kentucky because, like I said, I'm excited for where Alabama basketball is going to be over the next 5-10 years. If we can keep him there, I think he's a Billy Donovan in the making. I mean, I just think he's that kind of guy. He's cutting edge. And he knows how to recruit. I think he's going to be a special coach for a long time.
Well, I agree, man. Great stuff, great call. And I do think, Johnny, that he is this era's Billy Donovan, and I can't wait to talk with Brian Pasick about that next because he's going to join us and kind of relive that trip to the Final Four. I was kind of living vicariously through him, Chris Stewart, Tom Stipe, and all those guys and former players and supporters that got a chance to go to the Final Four.
Yeah. How great would it be if Tiger collected number 6 this week?
Yeah.
It would be even more unlikely than the one that he won a few years ago.
Yeah, this one would be hugely
because like Scott said, he's played what? You said 1 round?
He's played 1 round coming into the Masters. Not even a
tournament.
He
played
round. 1 round and shot a 72.
Well, this is the one course, though, where knowledge is power.
Oh, no, you're right.
And, I mean, you've got couples, well in his 60s making cut. I mean, this guy, the magic happens around that place, and he can get those legs working just for 4 days. He's that kind of guy that's got magic there, so it could be a lot of fun.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, sir.
All right. By the way, Ballo from Arizona.
Yeah, he's one I'd love to.
He's a big dude. You got Cade Tyson from Belmont. He is another tall, big dude. But anyway, we got to get a break in. Dudes. John Shulman, every time you tell him, we need dudes. We need dudes.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get a break in. We got a dude on the other line that's going to join us next. Brian Pasick's a big dude coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. We are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. Temperatures only climbing into the mid-60s. We're also going to be on the breezy end of the spectrum. Sustained winds through a good chunk of the afternoon, 20 to 30 miles per hour. Isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be in the forecast. That activity comes to an end as we head into the later part of the evening, eventually into the overnight. Speaking of the overnight, temperatures drop into the mid and upper 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They're still pushing all the traffic over to the left lane. This is southbound on the causeway, headed toward Decatur. Just got a wreck, 231 in Douglas. No injury reported. That's in Lacey. Got Blake Bottom and Indian Creek that may still be working. That one reported as an injury type, although I think they canceled HIMSI on it. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the South Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy happiness. But money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness. Or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Spring is in the air, making it a great time to make plans to visit the Lodge at Guntersville State Park. The Lodge at Guntersville State Park sits on a cliff overlooking beautiful Guntersville Lake with vistas from the cliffside rooms as well as the Pinecrest Room, the Lodge's premier restaurant. And as the weather warms, enjoy the gorgeous pool that overlooks the lake as well. The park also features cabins, a beach, and a boat launch, so bring your boat to take the fun to the lake. The Lodge at Guntersville State Park. Book your visit today.
Welcome back, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And no, Nate Oates is not a candidate to go to Baylor.
He is not.
He is not eating Mexican, and Alabama fans calling to find out and telling him, hey, you'd be a good fit in Waco.
No, he isn't. But our next guest has just finished his 21st and most unforgettable year as the color analyst for the Crimson Tide Sports Network for Alabama basketball with his great friend Chris Stewart. We were honored to have them on the call throughout this journey. Of course, Tom Stipe, their longtime producer, they got a chance to take in the Final Four. The University of Alabama reached the highest level of college basketball, and I don't care what any final poll says. I know what my eyes saw.
Number 4.
Yeah, Alabama was the second best team in the country by the end of the college basketball season. That's amazing. It's so and to know that Nate Oates is now completely committed to the University of Alabama. There's never been a better time to be a fan or a supporter of the University of Alabama basketball program, and we're always honored to be joined by our next guest who was along for the entire ride, and that was Brian Pasek. Brian, how you doing? I hope you had a great trip to the Final Four. I know you did. It had to be unforgettable. You're back with Drew and Scott here in Huntsville.
Well, it's great to be on with you guys. Listen, it was a dream come true to get to be at the Final Four with my team and see Alabama out there in front of 76,000 was incredible. And listen, I knew that at some point Alabama would go to a Final Four. I was hoping it would be in my lifetime. Thankfully, that happened. But listen, we talked about it last year after the San Diego State loss with what was arguably the best Alabama basketball team in the history of the program not making it to the Final Four. And you know, you guys know how this works. I mean, listen, you could have a team that everybody picks to win the national championship, go to the Final Four, not make it out of the first round. I mean, Purdue, going back last year, a number one seed that a lot of people picked to go not just to the Final Four, but win the national championship, lost the first game to a 16 seed. So you never know in this tournament. And I thought that the draw was really good if Alabama could get healthy, which they did not actually, did not get healthy, but they did get rested and did have a draw that could, that was, I thought, favorable from a style of play standpoint. College of Charleston likes to get up and down, shoot a lot of threes. Grand Canyon, the team that likes to play up and down. Of course, North Carolina is a great team, but out of all of the one seeds, that would be probably who you would choose. The Final Four game was a tough matchup. It'd be a tough matchup for the Boston Celtics. UConn is amazing, but to finally get there, I knew it would happen, and you know, we talked about it last year that it would probably happen in a year that we didn't expect it. And I don't think anybody expected Alabama to make a run to the school's first ever Final Four late in the season when this team was struggling and with injuries and the way they were playing and coming out of Nashville, going one and done in Nashville and getting beat badly by the Florida Gators. This was not something that anyone, including me, predicted at the time. But, man, what a ride. It was absolutely amazing. I was pinching myself in Phoenix and in Glendale, and every time I saw a Final Four logo with Alabama on it, I just still, I couldn't believe it. And it was amazing. And, man, just really proud of these players, coaches, and this program.
Well, I can tell you this, Brian, before Scott asked you this question, I wanted to throw this in there because I got blown up. Everybody wanted your pullover, okay? Everybody. That you had on. Everybody was like, how did he get that? How did he get that? Where do I get that? I didn't get one, but I said, hey, perks, I guess. But there you go, for being at the Final Four.
Yeah, perks if you got $70 to spend at at one of those little Final Four pop-up.
There you go.
I'm sitting here. I'm wearing my Final Four baseball cap. Listen, I told both my girls I'm going to have 2 in college next year.
Yes.
They're going to have to get jobs. The college fund has been spent on Final Four gear. So I got a bunch, and it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
So you go to the Final Four. Alabama takes on UConn, and we said it afterwards. Alabama played UConn probably the best that anybody played them the entire tournament, including Purdue in the national title game. But the one thing we kept hearing was how long UConn was, how big they were. Their guards were big, their reach, their big guys. You watched that game up close and personal. Was UConn as big as what they were saying on TV?
Yeah, listen, they're great. I mean, they're a great team. They were clearly the best team in the country, and typically the best team in the country doesn't always win the national championship, and not only that, but like usually the best team in the country doesn't win the national championship. But I thought UConn was the best by a pretty wide margin. I mean, I think it was 2013 was the last time a number 1 overall seed won the national championship until this year. I mean, last year UConn was dominant in the tournament, but they were a 4 seed. So they were up and down over the course of the year, and going into the tournament was far from the best team in the country. But this year they were, and not to say that Alabama couldn't have beaten them, and even though it was a 14-point margin, obviously if you watch that game, it was much closer than that. But if Alabama played great, shot it really well, made 14, 16 threes, they'd have a chance to win that game. And I thought Alabama played really well, but not great. And to beat a team as good as UConn, who will go down in history as one of the most dominant teams. I don't know that when you compare eras and who's the best, I mean, that's hard to do. But as far as dominance, I mean, nobody's beaten teams as badly in the NCAA tournament as this UConn team. So they'll go down in history as one of the most dominant national champions we've seen ever, at least from a points standpoint. So, I thought they were great on both ends. I mean, this isn't a newsflash. They're right. The number 1 offense in the country. I thought they were probably better defensively than they were offensively. And then with the way they play, they've got length on the perimeter, really good defenders everywhere. They run you off the 3-point line and funnel you into Donovan Clingan, who's one of the best defensive centers I've seen in a long time. They're just really, really good, hard to score on. And you're going to have to make some threes. And Alabama, I think, only got 23 off.
Made 11 of 23, yep.
Yeah, which is a great percentage. The second half percentage wasn't nearly what it was in the first half. But, you watch the game Monday night against Purdue. Purdue's the number 2 3-point shooting team in the country from a percentage standpoint. They only made 1. They only shot 7. And listen, that wasn't by design from Matt Painter. That was by design from Danny Hurley. They want to limit the amount of threes you're able to take. And, that was a big difference, a big reason why they're the national champion.
Really is. And now the future of Alabama basketball, in the coming days, and what we saw even a day or two after, we saw the situation arise at Kentucky, and yet Nate Oates releases the statement committing to Alabama basketball. We've heard, through the grapevine about the NIL commitment, a standalone training facility. This is really a salad days for Alabama basketball, Brian. This is when it's even going to get even more fun, because I'm hoping that this trip to the Final Four will lead to the program going to the next level under who I think, I've made this comparison earlier in the show, and we had a caller do the same, that, I think Alabama has hired the Billy Donovan of this era.
Yeah, I think so. And, it was interesting being in Phoenix and around, all the different fan bases. And, there was a lot of talk about Danny Hurley and Nate Oates, maybe the two best coaches in the country. When you look at Danny Hurley, obviously what he's accomplished, winning national championships, but Nate Oates with what he's built at a school that doesn't have the at least the recent tradition of a UConn or Purdue. North Carolina State's been in the Final Fours, won national championships. But, I think Danny Hurley and Nate Oates are the two best in college basketball. And even though there's a comparison there and they have a relationship and the Hurleys helped Nate Oates get into college coaching, I think there's a comparison with what Calhoun did at UConn. Because, even though, Jim Calhoun was considered one of the top coaches in the country, you look at what UConn was before he got there.
Exactly.
And they were a program that had never had the national level of success that they're having now. He helped build UConn into what many consider a blue blood today. And I think Nate Oates is doing something similar at Alabama. I think we're going to look back at Alabama basketball as one of the future powers of college basketball. I mean, we've seen Sporting News rank Alabama number 1 in the country in the preseason. I mean, in the way too early top 25 polls. Now, that's impossible to do right now with all the roster turnover that goes on. But when you look at what he's done in 5 years at Alabama, he's never missed a tournament. The only tournament that he didn't go to was the one that was canceled. And so a number 1 overall seed last year, a Final Four trip this year, another top 5, top 10 recruiting class. So many key players we anticipate coming back. Don't know that just yet. But Alabama is very much in the top 10, top 5 nationally. And I don't see that changing anytime soon as long as Nate Oates is running this program. And with the statement that came out, Kentucky, I think, was going to go after Nate Oates. And I wasn't worried. He made a commitment to this program, signing the extension and raise and agreeing to a crazy high buyout. So I wasn't worried, but I also like seeing that statement come out Monday night that he's going to be the coach at Alabama next year. So that helped my enjoyment of the national championship game. But he's the reason he's committed to Alabama and signed that extension and is staying is because he knows he can do at Alabama what you could do at Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, any of the UConn. And if he believes it, I believe it, because I think he's maybe the best coach in the country along with Danny Hurley. So I could not be more excited about where this program is right now. But as you mentioned, the future is unbelievable. Can't wait to see what happens. And, the only downside is we got to wait 6-7 months for next season. That's the only downside right now.
Yeah. And now comes the hard part, though, too, and that is where Nate Oates has to re-recruit the roster that he has there in Tuscaloosa right now. That's the only bad thing about where we're at with college athletics is that coaches now have to re-recruit
but he
their
understands
own roster.
that, though.
Yeah.
Not a very good understanding.
Absolutely. Everybody is in that situation. And listen, I think the good thing is, these guys want to be here. They enjoy playing this style, the success, the taste of a Final Four. There is a strong desire now where, some of the things you hear from the players and coaches has changed as far as what they're saying, which I love. We used to hear, want to get to a Final Four, and now the talk is we want to win a national championship. So, the goals have been changed just a little bit, and I think there's a desire among, obviously, Nate Oates and the staff, but also these players. And look, one thing we've seen is in this transfer portal era, last year at this time, there are some guys that decided to transfer out that were, to me, disappointing that they decided to leave. And what did Nate Oates do? He replaced them with as good, if not better, players and make a run to the Final Four. So I hope everybody stays. But the reality in this day and age of college basketball, that's probably not going to happen. But I've never had more confidence in a coach that if some guys leave that maybe we don't anticipate, that they'll be able to go out and replace them with as good, if not better, players. And because of the success of Alabama, the style of play, the player development, all those things, there is a long line of players that would love to play in this system and be a part of Alabama basketball right now. So regardless of who it is, I think the talent level will be really, really good next year. And not predicting another Final Four run, but I will predict being in position to do so late in the season, and that's really all you can ask.
Really is, and I know you saw him in Phoenix. We're getting late word that the big man for Arizona, Umar Ballo, is going to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend, Brian Pasek.
Oh, wow. Breaking news. That's
from the one and only Trilly Donovan, who you know very well.
Oh, yeah. I trust him. Barlow just checking it. He's going to check out a little A-Day. Football fans.
There you go. You can let him wear your pullover, Brian, or your hat.
It'd be a little small on Barlow.
Yeah, they can wear the hat now.
Those Arizona guys, they didn't get the Final Four gear this year.
Yeah, they did. The other UA they can wear. Yes,
that's right.
Well, Brian, we appreciate it. You guys did such a tremendous job painting a picture for all of us. It was an honor to be an affiliate and to be along for the ride. Hopefully soon there'll be another one very, very soon. But it was such a great year of Alabama basketball, and again, we can't wait. I'm like you. I'm like giddy for practice to start and this roster to come together for Nate Oates' 6th year. But what a run so far for Nate Oates, and just glad he's going to be in Tuscaloosa long term. And thank you for joining us and giving us some perspective.
Well, always enjoyed being on with you guys. It was an incredible year, incredible run, and I say we do it again next year.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
Shall we get that final break in? We shall. Talking Ball returns after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like we're going to wrap things up with a couple of accidents still working this morning. 72 westbound near Shields. That one's been updated to an injury type. We had the one on the causeway headed southbound into Decatur. They were pushing all the traffic over into the left lane. There's quite a bit of backup there. So even once they clear it, it's going to take a while for that one to get back to normal. 231 in Douglas and Lacey. That one's coming in as a no injury. You could win a 2024 Jeep Compass at the 40th Annual Bloomington Festival Art and Craft Fair, the 21st and 22nd, adjacent to Ave Maria Grotto in Coleman. Over 180 artists and craftsmen, great food, music, and much more. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game.
Here it comes, and there it goes. Fly ball, deep left field, way back. This one is up. This one is gone.
Grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks and get ready to cheer on the Tide.
Called third strike, a slider lower inside corner.
The Tide plays here all season long.
Here's a spin. Here's Bowman's throw home. The slide, and he's safe.
On your home for Alabama baseball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We are, let's see here, 16 minutes away from the honorary tee-off at Augusta National. A little over 36 minutes away from getting this year's, the 88th edition of the Masters underway.
So you were telling us when you were giving those times, those 9 o'clock times were Central Time, but it'll be 10 o'clock Eastern.
No, they're Central Time. So 9:30 is when it's starting.
Gotcha. After we get off of here.
Tiger Woods, by the way,
yeah,
he's probably going to get dealt a bad hand.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Because with them starting at 9:30 today, the expected finish time will put them where they will have to finish round 1 tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Tiger is a later tee time today. So that means if he does play, he will have to finish round 1 tomorrow and then play round 2 tomorrow as well. Why is that key? Well, because if Tiger Woods does make the cut for the Masters, it'll be his 24th consecutive made cut at Augusta, which will give him the record there for Augusta. He currently shares it right now with Gary Player and Fred Couples.
And we already saw Gary on the course.
And Gary was on the practice range a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. So he is there.
For the ceremonial tee-off.
Mm-hmm. So that is what we have for them. For Augusta National. The patrons have been let in, so it is getting closer to starting.
Pimento cheese, ice cream sandwiches.
Egg salad sandwiches.
Egg salad too.
$1.50. They don't raise those prices.
No, everything else costs a crap ton.
It does.
Them tickets are hard to get.
They are very hard to get.
Yes.
One of these days.
And I appreciate everybody for the birthday wishes, everyone.
Yes, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
What are you doing for your
birthday
know. Today?
I think we're going to dinner. I will be out at Full Moon Barbecue today with Stephen West for the segment there. Looking forward to it. And we got Charlie Plott coming on to talk Masters tomorrow.
Well, we better, yes.
Yeah. So.
See, we didn't play the happy birthday song. We played Looney Tunes for all
fine.
The Kentucky fans. But happy birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big Yosemite Sam fan.
All right. Enjoy the day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've